Okay, where do I start? Well, we could start from the beginning, I guess. It was 2006. My friend and I were extremely bored one night and decided to make a Ouija board. Me not thinking this could actually work. Man, I was wrong. We both played all night asking different questions and getting responses. Both of us just chucked it up to one of us moving a planchette. In our case, it was a shot glass. With both of us just being teenagers at the age of 16, we had no idea what we were getting into or how actually to properly work this spirit board. We never said goodbye. We would continue to play almost every night and day for weeks. I can say now that we got obsessed. Things started slowly happening in my house. Cabinets started opening up by themselves. Doors started opening and closing. TVs flickering through channels and stopping on the weirdest of shows. Footsteps at night down the hallway. You catch my drift. After finally getting spooked about all of these occurrences, we decided to burn our man-made Ouija board without saying goodbye in my friend's driveway by our brother's car, which was a horrible decision. 1 week later, his engine completely blew. His car was completely totaled. We had no idea what this could mean. Did we do this? Should we have not burnt the paper Ouija board? Questions were flying through our heads, not knowing what's going on. We continued to just live our regular high school lives, but something always felt uneasy and off. I always felt like I was being watched, stalked, or followed. Every time I would come home, the heaviness would sink into my heart. The cold air would always give me goosebumps, but things got worse. I started seeing apparitions, hearing voices, and things getting moved or thrown throughout my house. I was lost, scared, and had nowhere to turn. The home I once felt safe in was the home I was desperately trying to run away from. Fast forward to 2020, COVID hit. I lost my job, vehicle, and sanity. I had to move back home. I had no choice. When I came back home, it almost felt like welcomed by these spirits, poltergeists, demons. I don't even know what to call them, but I was going back to feeling heavy-hearted and cold all the time. I tried to continue with my daily life and tried to keep my mind off of the spooky things that happened daily around me. Of course, I fell into a deep depression, having nightmares every night of horrible things done to me and my family. Waking up with bruises and scratches all over me and not knowing where they came from. I literally started going insane. With all the paranoia and paranormal happenings, I just couldn't do it anymore. I felt like I was at my end. Still to this day, I am here, a prisoner of this house. I don't know where to turn or who to turn to. I'm lost. I opened up a portal and I'd never even closed it, and now I'm tormented by who or whatever comes through it. Is this oppression? Will I be I can't even say it. If anyone can help or give suggestions of what I should do to help, please reach out. This has been almost 20 years of torment, and it's not letting up. Back when I was 12, I was obsessed with ghosts and decided to make a homemade Ouija board from an old sketchbook cover, paint markers, and a shot glass. Although it was the most ghetto board I ever seen, I had high hopes to make contact with the dead. I was home alone for that night and I thought this was the perfect time because I knew if my mom had caught me, I would have gotten my ass beat. She liked to pretend that she didn't believe in ghosts, but would have threw a fit if she knew I was doing something like this in the house. Proceeded to make a circle out of candles in my bedroom and sitting in the middle with my board, placing my fingers on the shot glass. I followed all of the directions and asked multiple questions, but I was left disappointed when I got no answers and saw no sign of movement. Thinking my board was a total failure, I didn't even bother saying goodbye. I blew out the candles and tidied up, getting ready for bed, leaving the bedroom light on because I was afraid of the dark and could see into the bedroom from my bed if I looked through the mirror reflection in my hallway. I was asleep for a few hours until my cat woke me up hissing and groaning around 1 a.m. I can hear her, but I couldn't see her. I rubbed my eyes and scanned over my room trying to find out what she was hissing at. I couldn't see my cat, but I was looking around and I noticed movement in the bathroom. Paralyzed with fear, I stared into the mirror. A girl with long black curly hair was standing there brushing her hair. She was ripping the brush through her hair quickly and aggressively. I felt my heart drop into my stomach and something was off. but I assumed my mom just came home early from an apparent rough night. I hesitantly got out of bed and started slowly and quietly walking towards the washroom. As I turned the corner, the hairbrush fell to the floor and the shower curtains rattled for a moment as if they were shot closed. As I was going to open up the curtains and check it out, my cat snuck up behind me and began hissing again and nearly gave me a heart attack. I was absolutely petrified and I ran outside, pounding on my neighbor friend's door to let me in. There was no way I was sleeping alone in the house, so she let me stay there for the night. I never even found out what was behind the shower curtain. I've kept the Ouija board with me to this day, locked away in my attic space. I've heard way too many horror stories of what happened to people once they got rid of their board for me to make the same mistake. I've never felt completely alone since that night. I'm 20 now, and I still feel as if someone watches me while I sleep. Hello. When I was a teenager, I moved into my father's house for the first time in California. I had some paranormal experiences in this house that I often now joke about with my friends, as I 100% believe it was my fault. I've never shared my story with strangers or people who might have insight, so here it goes. My stepmother would always say that her deceased father was around and would mess with things whenever my father and her got into an argument, misplacing things during the night so he would be late for work the day after, etc. I never really believed this, as I wouldn't put it past her to hide the things herself. My stepmother and I would often talk about the paranormal and ghosts. It didn't come from a religious family or anything, so it was always an open discussion. Our house was right next door to a cemetery on the other side of the fence. I was 16 and I loved to listen to scary stories on YouTube while painting, doing homework, etc. My stepmom and I had talked about Ouija boards, and since I was an, edgy teenager, I bought one. I spoke to my friends about it and they were all very intrigued with the idea of trying it out. The first time we played with it was Halloween night at the cemetery next to my house. The security was amped up this night, so my 3 friends and I found a large tombstone to hide behind so we could play, so we wouldn't be able to be seen from the road. Absolutely nothing happened this night, which gave me this kind of ego about it where I took it even less serious. The second time I tried, it was also my last. Once again, this was a group effort with like 2 friends, both with the same name, which can kind of be confusing, so I would just call them C and R. We ended up doing an official seance, but we did a quick Google search on how to do it beforehand. We lit candles and planned to have me and R holding the planchette with blindfolds on so C can read out potential responses. We asked a few questions with no response, but suddenly the planchette moved around. I initially assumed that R and C were trying to fool me, so I wasn't even scared of believing it completely. We asked for the entity's name and I couldn't for the life of me remember it, but it sounded like an old Hebrew name. We got bored eventually after a few more boring responses, said goodbye, and that was that. I started waking up in the middle of the night and would feel this strong presence in the corner of my room by the door. I oddly never felt frightened, as the energy felt, female. I would just roll over and fall back asleep after staring into the dark for a bit. It would also feel strange in the guest bathroom and would avoid going in there at all costs. At the time, I thought it was the lighting. That was strange. It was very bright and reminded me of a Sephora or makeup store. It just made me feel extremely aware and anxious. The event that started amping up the activity is when I fell sick for 2 weeks. I almost never get sick, but I was extremely unwell and ended up going to the doctor, who gave me antibiotics, and I turned out to be allergic to them. So I got more ill and had a bad rash all over my chest and stomach. And the time I was sick, I stayed in the guest bedroom, as my parents were redoing their bathroom, and they also did not like the guest bathroom, so they used mine. I absolutely hated being in the guest room when I was sick. I was in the most confusing fever dreams at all times, and I felt like I was being watched, and that the energy was being sucked out of me. Felt like a huge dark weight was on me when laying down. Would feel a whole lot better if I left the room and slept on the couch or slept into my room. I heard voices speaking to me in the dead of the night, that despite being sick I could brush it off, as I was self-aware enough to know that I had a burning fever and was probably hallucinating. When I finally got better and got back to my room, I slept like a baby the first night, until the energy followed me in there. I would wake up every night and the energy in the corner of the room would suddenly feel threatening instead. I would hear new noises in my room that I've never heard there before. I knew exactly what the AC sounded like when it turned on. I even knew the noise the door would make when it turned open, as well as the noise the door made as my dogs lay up against it on the other side. I even started hearing noises from behind me, which made no sense as it was just a wall. It sounded like scratching. I had complained about it so much we ended up getting our house checked for rodents. One night, my parents went out for dinner and would get me something on their way back so I can just stay home and chill. I was standing in the laundry room, which is right by our open concept living room and kitchen. I was scooping dog food for my 2 German shepherds who were hovering over their bowls next to me. Suddenly, I hear a lady say, "Hey T." T is the nickname my family uses for me, and since it was a woman's voice, I turned towards the door and go, "Yeah?" thinking it was my stepmother. My gaze automatically locked to the hallway that precedes the kitchen straight across from me when I realized I was home alone. I looked down at my dogs next to me and they also had their eyes glued to the same spot as me and reacted at the same speed. I walked a few steps out and my dogs followed timidly, which was strange. Suddenly, like I was in a cheesy horror film, my dog's ball rolled from behind the counter and stopped when it hit the wall ahead of us. Keep in mind that my doggos were right next to me, so they couldn't have dropped the ball or rolled it. I was so in shock, but I remember my family had the Light 360 app where we could see each other's location. So I checked, and my parents were going well over the speed limit on the highway 20 minutes away. I didn't even know what to do, so I just fed my dogs with tears in my eyes and went to go hide by my desk in my room. The scariest event that happened, although terrifying and sat me down for a long time, I still took it with a grain of salt as I had smoked some weed a few hours before. I hadn't tried it many times before that, but I had gotten home and took a nice warm shower and listened to some music. I normally get super paranoid when high, but I was coming down from it and now more relaxed than usual. I was so relaxed in fact that I even walked around my room butt naked after I've gotten out of the shower, which is something I never do. I'm extremely reserved and find clothing comforting. Anyway, I was walking around my room and wanted to move my bowl of sewing pins from my dresser to my desk. I dropped the bowl and had to bend down and dig into my new carpet to find them all again. As I bent down, all naked and vulnerable, I suddenly felt like the walls were closing in on me and heard whispers from the walls, I guess, was coming from all over, so I was hearing to pick up all the pins. The vision also started to blur and I was feeling this tightness in my chest. Suddenly, I heard this deep guttural growl from over my shoulder that made my entire body tense up. All the hairs raised and instant goosebumps along with tears in my eyes. I jumped into my bed to feel a sense of comfort to hide my body from this invisible thing. I laid in my bed and hid like a little kid, even though I'm 16 years old. I've never been so frightened in my life. I've laid there for so long I had to pee so bad but was dreading having to get up again. I FaceTimed my best friend to comfort me and explain what had happened so I felt safer getting up, quickly throwing on some clothes and went to the bathroom. This experience scared me so bad that I didn't touch weed for over 2 years, but when I hit uni, I became a functional pothead during exams and never had any experiences like that when I was high. After this event, nothing major and scary happened again. I would still hear a woman's voice from time to time, or my kitchen sink would just turn on so I would just hear it from my room. But that was the last time I was scared of anything paranormal. After my family moved to another state, nothing else happened to me since. My stepmom threw out my Ouija board during the move, so it never got to touch base in my new home. I feel that playing with the Ouija board, I opened up some sort of contact that otherwise wouldn't have been known. I tried to psychoanalyze the situation and the living situation I was in. My family was extremely emotionally toxic, and we had our issues, that's for sure. So I have to consider if the mental toll of my family dynamic manifests itself in some anxieties for this unseen force. However, in the new house, nothing has ever happened, and our family dynamic became even worse there, so I don't believe that's the cause. I'd like to know what you guys think. Was I just a paranoid and anxious teen with some family troubles and interest in the paranormal that made me believe things were happening around me? Or did I open some communication with RNC through the board that one night? Or maybe a whole third option? I don't know. I just need some answers, guys. So please, help me. Let me know what's going on. Good evening, everyone. This is Yuri K, and this is the end of the video. Please leave a comment and let us know your opinions on the matter. If you happen to like this content, please check out our other videos. Make sure you like and share amongst your friends and family to help our community grow. You happen to be new to this channel? Please make sure you subscribe. It's free and you can always change it in the future. You have some terrifying story suggestions? If so, make sure that you send it to my email, fearofthedarkstories@gmail.com, and I'll feature it in a future segment. But you guys stay safe out there, and remember to always be afraid of the dark.